The sky tore open with streaks of crimson and silver. Cities along the Pacific Rim trembled under a low, bone-shaking hum that made windows rattle and car alarms scream. People ran into streets, screaming, looking up at the enormous ship hovering above them. It was like nothing humanity had ever seen. Jagged edges, glowing veins of alien light, a presence that radiated danger. Military satellites had tracked strange signals for weeks, but nothing could have prepared anyone for this. Lieutenant Marcus Hale stood at the bow of the USS Sentinel, gripping the railing until his knuckles whitened. His heart raced, but not with fear. Fear was for the unprepared. He had faced deadly storms at sea, hostile insurgents, and disasters that should have killed him. What beat inside him now was anticipation, a sharp, clear focus on the impossible task ahead. Earth had been challenged and humanity needed him. Reports came in fast. The alien ship had released creatures, something called apex predators genetically engineered for terror. Intelligence described them as unstoppable. And then the first one landed. It smashed into a downtown plaza, crushing cars beneath claws that could tear through steel. Its roar rolled across the city like thunder, shaking buildings and sending people diving for cover. Fighter jets rose, screaming missiles toward it, but the creature was too fast. One swipe of its claw shredded a jet midair. Another rocket exploded uselessly. Every human tactic seemed meaningless against the raw, alien force. Marcus scanned the chaos through his binoculars, noting every movement, every hesitation in the predator's steps. Civilians ran, soldiers fired blindly, and somewhere in the back of his mind, Marcus felt the thrill he only got when facing the impossible. Not thrill for danger but clarity. This was a problem to solve, a challenge that demanded human courage and quick thinking. He watched the predator pause. Its massive head turned, eyes glowing like molten gold. The predator roared again, but this time, it was not toward the fleeing humans. Its gaze fixed on Marcus. His heart skipped a beat. There was a spark in those eyes, an almost human hesitation, and it unsettled him in a way he had never experienced. The Sentinel's comms crackled. "Sir, we're losing satellites over the northern quadrant. They're fried. Communications are failing. This predator, it's smarter than any drone we've ever deployed." Marcus's jaw tightened. Smarter than any weapon. Faster than any defense. Unstoppable. But humans had never faced something truly unstoppable and quit. He was already calculating. How could he survive? How could he protect civilians? How could he fight when nothing worked the way it should? A flash of movement caught his eye. The predator had lifted a massive car like a toy, tossing it into the harbor. Water erupted in a boiling explosion of waves and debris. He imagined the people inside it, helpless. Anger flared inside him, not reckless anger but the kind that sharpens the mind and steels the nerves. Humans were more than prey. They were resourceful, courageous, and capable of acts that creatures, no matter how deadly, could not predict. Marcus turned to his strike team, the few soldiers he could rely on in this chaos. "Listen up. Jets aren't working. Missiles aren't working. We can't outrun it and we can't outgun it. But we can think, watch it, learn it, and survive long enough to do something no one expects." The team exchanged looks. Fear was there but so was trust. Marcus had earned it through years of impossible missions. He nodded once and motioned forward. Every step toward the city's chaos was deliberate, every heartbeat a choice. Run or stand. Fight or hide. Marcus chose to stand. The predator moved closer to the waterfront, its massive claws crunching steel and concrete. Marcus felt a pulse of terror among the civilians that he had to channel into strategy. He saw a group trapped on a dock. Without thinking, he grabbed a flare gun, fired a signal, and shouted through the comm, "Move. Follow the flare." The humans hesitated, but the predator's roar drove them forward. Marcus guided them toward the evacuation ships, ignoring the pounding in his chest. Courage wasn't the absence of fear, it was action despite it. Then it happened. The predator froze mid-step. It sniffed the air, or whatever passed for air in its alien biology. It tilted its massive head and fixed Marcus with its glowing eyes again. This time it took a single step back. Hesitation. Recognition. The predator was studying him. Calculating. Marcus swallowed hard. His gut twisted with both fear and possibility. This was no mindless killing machine. It was alive, intelligent, and maybe predictable. And if there was even a small chance to turn that intelligence into an advantage, humanity had to try. A low rumble vibrated through the city, louder than before. The alien ship shifted, something massive moving inside it. Marcus realized the predator had not come alone. Others were waiting, watching, preparing. Earth had survived nuclear threats, asteroid strikes, and pandemics, but nothing like this. He tightened his grip on the flare gun and turned to his team. We learn it. We outsmart it. We survive. And maybe, we turn this nightmare into something no one believes is possible. A shadow fell across the dock as the Predator moved closer, each step shaking the planks beneath. Marcus held his breath. Humanity had been cornered, but they weren't beaten. Not yet. And he would make sure the Predator would learn what humans were capable of, one step at a time. From across the city, sirens wailed. Fires raged. And in that moment, Marcus Hale became the human the Predator could not ignore, a single person against impossible odds. Marcus led his strike team through the city streets, moving carefully between crumbled buildings and smoldering wrecks. The Predator had already left a trail of destruction that made every step dangerous. Debris littered the roads, fire sent thick smoke into the sky, and distant screams reminded them that civilians were still trapped. Every second mattered. Every mistake could be fatal. Keep your eyes open, Marcus whispered into his comm, watch its patterns. Don't panic. We need to survive first, understand second. They crouched behind a collapsed overpass as the Predator advanced down the boulevard. Its massive claws crushed everything in its path. Each step shook the ground violently, splintering concrete like paper. Even from a distance, Marcus could see how intelligent it was. It wasn't moving randomly. It paused, tilted its head, adjusted its stance, and sometimes hesitated as if considering its next attack. See that? Whispered Sergeant Lila Chin, pointing to the creature's claw. It's avoiding the reinforced pillars. It knows the weight won't hold. It's calculating. Marcus nodded. Exactly. It's thinking. And thinking creatures can be outsmarted. The team moved forward, ducking into the shadow of a half-destroyed high-rise. Marcus scanned the street ahead. He realized the Predator wasn't hunting blindly. It was focused on humans, but not all humans equally. Civilians running in panic triggered aggression, but soldiers advancing strategically slowed it down. It responded to courage, to calculated movement. That realization sparked a plan in his mind. They set up small traps as they went. Simple, improvised things. Mirrors to reflect light into its eyes, sound-emitting devices that mimicked human voices in different directions. The goal wasn't to stop it, not yet. It was to observe, confuse, and, if possible, manipulate it. Hours passed. The Predator tested every corner, every barricade, every trick they laid. It destroyed some traps instantly. Others caused it to pause. Marcus noticed its hesitations grew longer when he personally placed the devices, standing calmly in plain sight. It seemed to recognize him even from a distance. Each hesitation gave civilians a chance to escape. Each pause was a small victory. But danger was constant. A helicopter gunship moved in to support the team, and Marcus felt a sinking feeling in his chest. The Predator lashed out. Its claws tore through the gunship's hull, sending the machine spinning into a building. Debris rained down on Marcus and his team. One of the new recruits, a young Marine named Evan, was knocked off his feet. Marcus dove to grab him, slamming against the rubble, feeling the heat of fire and the thud of falling concrete. Move. Now. Marcus shouted, dragging Evan to cover. The Predator roared, shaking the city with raw power. Marcus's pulse hammered in his ears, but he didn't freeze. He adjusted a sound decoy nearby and fired a flare into the sky. The Predator's gaze snapped toward the light. Marcus took a step forward, letting the Predator focus on the flare instead of the civilians behind them. It worked just for a moment. Enough for a group of trapped families to run toward evacuation boats waiting at the harbor. Marcus's chest heaved as he watched them disappear to safety. Survival wasn't guaranteed, but action had bought them time. They continued moving through the city, each step more deliberate than the last. Marcus studied the Predator's movements. It seemed to mimic aggression with caution. Every swipe, every roar, every calculated pause told him something. He realized it wasn't just hunting, it was learning, adapting. And learning creatures could make mistakes if provoked in the right way. Sir, Lila said, her voice tight, it's heading toward the central plaza. That's where the civilians are concentrated. If it gets there, we lose everyone. Marcus's mind raced. They couldn't outrun it. They couldn't outgun it. But they could outthink it. He recalled the stories of humans surviving impossible odds, using courage, cleverness, and moral choice to turn the tide. He had to do the same. We can't fight it directly, Marcus said, voice low but firm. But we can lead it. Make it chase what we want. Confuse it, tire it, give us an opening. It's smart, yes, but smart creatures can be predicted. He handed a small device to Evan. Use this to mimic a human voice ahead. Place it near the plaza entrance. Draw it there but keep your distance. Everyone else, cover me. The team moved quickly. Marcus took point, walking deliberately into the open street. The predator noticed him immediately. Its glowing eyes locked onto his form. Marcus felt the familiar hammering of adrenaline, but he didn't flinch. He was small compared to it, just one human, but he stood firm. The predator roared, a sound so loud it made the ground tremble. Dust and smoke swirled around Marcus, but he kept moving step by step, carefully. It followed him, claws crushing everything behind him. Marcus's mind worked fast. If he could keep its attention, guide it toward the trap they set in the plaza, and manipulate its instincts, they might just survive, and maybe even turn the tide. But the predator was clever. Too clever. It began to slow, assessing, tilting its massive head. Marcus's stomach tightened. He realized something terrifying. It might not simply chase. It could anticipate. It could counter. Every heartbeat stretched with suspense. And then a sudden thought struck him. The predator hesitated again, just a fraction longer than before. It remembered him from the first encounter near the harbor. Recognition. That was their chance. Marcus swallowed, feeling a surge of both fear and hope. Humanity's ingenuity, courage, and determination had brought them this far. But the real test was just beginning. The predator stepped closer, eyes locked on him, every muscle coiled for a strike, or perhaps something else entirely. Marcus knew one wrong move could end everything. One right move could change the fate of the city. He took a deep breath, squared his shoulders, and stepped into the open. Marcus walked into the open street, heart pounding, every sense alert. The predator loomed ahead, a living nightmare of muscle, claws, and golden glowing eyes. Civilians screamed from a distance, but Marcus didn't flinch. He had learned something crucial. The predator hesitated when confronted with boldness. Fear was natural, but courage could create a gap, a moment to exploit. He stopped in the middle of the boulevard. His strike team took cover behind broken walls and overturned vehicles, holding their breath. The predator paused too, tilting its head, watching him. Its massive frame shifted, claws scraping the pavement like metal on stone. Marcus noticed how its muscles tensed and relaxed, almost rhythmically, as if it were deciding how to proceed. Marcus raised his hand slowly, not as a weapon but as a signal of calm. No gun, no flare, nothing to provoke. He let his stance show confidence. He was small, vulnerable, and completely exposed, but he would not cower. He knew the predator could sense intent. A mindless creature might have attacked immediately. This one was calculating, weighing the risk, waiting for a reaction. The team held their breath. Sergeant Lila whispered, "Sir, it's coming closer." Too close. Marcus nodded once, barely moving. He kept his gaze steady on the predator's golden eyes. Good. Let it see me. Let it know I'm not afraid. A tense silence hung over the city street. Then slowly the predator stepped forward. Its claws barely made noise on the cracked asphalt. Marcus felt the ground vibrate with every movement. The roar it released wasn't aggressive this time, it was investigative. Almost curious. Marcus remembered a simple truth about humans surviving impossible odds. They didn't just react. They observed, adapted, and used intellect to turn danger into opportunity. He pulled a small device from his belt, a high-frequency resonance emitter, designed to mimic sounds that disturbed the creature's instincts without harming it. He activated it, letting a low, pulsing hum resonate through the street. The predator flinched slightly but didn't retreat. Its glowing eyes narrowed. Marcus took a slow step forward and the predator mirrored him, step by step, testing him, studying him. Then Marcus crouched slightly, letting himself appear smaller, non-threatening. The predator froze, tilting its head as if trying to decide if he was prey, threat, or something else entirely. His mind raced. This was the opening. If he could communicate even subtly with the predator, he could lead it, manipulate it, maybe even save the trapped civilians waiting in the plaza. He took a deep breath and spoke softly, not orders, not threats, just calm words. You don't have to destroy this city. You don't have to kill them. Follow me. Let's see. His voice carried no fear, no challenge, only clarity and certainty. The predator paused, then slowly, astonishingly, it stepped backward. It looked at Marcus for another long moment, then, almost imperceptibly, moved to align itself behind him. Marcus froze, hardly daring to breathe. He realized something extraordinary. The predator wasn't attacking. It was following. Trust, or at least recognition, had begun to form. Stay calm, Marcus whispered to his team. It's reacting to me, not to you. Keep your distance, cover the civilians and watch. The team followed orders, eyes wide with disbelief and adrenaline. No one spoke. The only sounds were the predator's low breathing and the distant cries of the city. Marcus led the way slowly, guiding it through side streets and collapsed avenues, careful not to provoke its aggression. Every movement had to be deliberate, precise. One mistake could mean death for all of them. As they approached the central plaza, Marcus saw the civilians huddled near overturned vehicles. Smoke from burning buildings obscured their faces. The predator's head turned, and Marcus could almost see it processing. He took another deep breath. Courage wasn't the absence of fear, it was controlled action despite it. He would not fail. Then came a sudden jolt of tension. From the shadows, another predator emerged, a smaller, faster one. Marcus froze, heart in his throat. He had assumed there was only one. Now two intelligent, lethal creatures hunted them. His mind raced. Retreat was not an option. They could not outrun both, and weapons had already failed. But then he remembered what had worked with the first predator. Calmness, observation, audacity. He raised his arms slightly, commanding attention without aggression. "Focus on me," he shouted. "Leave them alone." The first predator responded instantly, shifting slightly to block the civilians. Its massive frame pressed close behind him, shielding them. Marcus's pulse soared, not with fear but awe. Humanity could not only survive impossible odds, it could inspire them. Even creatures from another world could recognize courage. The smaller predator lunged. Marcus activated another resonance device, sending a piercing pulse toward it. The creature froze midair, confused, then landed awkwardly, giving Marcus's team time to take defensive positions. The balance of power had shifted. Human intelligence and courage had turned a deadly threat into a calculated advantage. Marcus glanced over his shoulder. The first predator's glowing eyes followed him, almost protective. He had no doubt now, the apex predator had made a choice. It had decided he was different. Marcus's stomach twisted with fear and exhilaration. If he could maintain control, guide it, and use its intelligence against the alien threat, they might just survive this night. But the danger was far from over. The alien ship above rumbled, massive hatches opening. More predators could emerge. The city still burned. Civilians' lives still hung in the balance. Marcus felt the weight of every choice, every move, every heartbeat. One misstep could end them all. He clenched his fists. This was humanity at its finest. Courage in the face of death, intelligence in the midst of chaos, morality guiding action even when the odds were impossible. And he would prove it, because humans didn't just survive. They adapted. They led. They conquered. With the predator moving behind him, Marcus took the first step toward the plaza, toward the civilians, toward the unknown. The hunt was no longer one-sided. Humanity had become a player. And the predator, terrifying, unstoppable, intelligent, was following. Marcus led the predator down the shattered streets, every step measured, every movement precise. Civilians scrambled toward evacuation points, but danger still pressed close. The alien ship hung above the city, hatches open, a silent threat that could release more predators at any moment. Marcus knew there was no margin for error. One wrong step, one miscalculation, and everything would collapse. "Team, listen," he whispered into his comm, "we're going to channel it. The predator is with us, but we can't underestimate it. Follow my lead. Keep civilians safe." His strike team nodded, faces tight with concentration, fear, and trust. They had followed Marcus through chaos before, but nothing like this. This was not just survival, it was a calculated gamble against a living weapon from another world. The central plaza lay ahead, a wide, open space flanked by partially destroyed buildings. Civilians were trapped in pockets, smoke swirling around them, flames threatening to spread. Marcus's mind raced. If they could get the predator to the plaza, he could use it as a shield, a force to herd the civilians to safety while creating a controlled path. He signaled with a flare, sending a bright, pulsating red light high above the plaza. The predator's glowing eyes snapped to it. Marcus's chest tightened. Timing was everything. He needed it to move, not attack, not panic, just follow. Step by step, Marcus guided it, walking deliberately into the open. The predator loomed behind him, massive claws scraping the pavement. Civilians froze in terror, but Marcus raised his arms, steady and calm. The predator mirrored his movements, hesitating at every glance, every signal. Its intelligence and adaptability were astonishing. Suddenly, from the shadows of a collapsed building, the smaller predator, faster, more agile, lunged at the civilians. Screams erupted. Marcus's heart hammered. Without thinking, he activated a resonance pulse from his belt device. A high-frequency sound exploded into the air, disorienting the smaller predator mid-leap. It staggered, giving civilians time to move. Marcus shouted directions, coordinating the team, guiding people toward the emergency transport units waiting at the edge of the plaza. The larger predator remained behind Marcus, surprisingly protective. It seemed almost to understand, through instinct or some alien cognition, that Marcus was the key. He had become its anchor, its point of reference in the chaos. Humanity in a single human had impressed even this apex predator. Marcus glanced skyward. The alien ship trembled. Hatch doors opened wider. Another roar echoed across the city, and more smaller predators began emerging, their movements precise, hunting, adaptive. The stakes had escalated. Survival now depended on strategy, courage, and sheer human ingenuity. Evan, deploy the decoys. Marcus barked. Distract the new ones. Lila, stay with me and cover the civilians. The team moved with precision, placing sound emitters, triggering light flares, creating controlled chaos to manipulate the predator's attention. Marcus stayed in the center, guiding the largest predator with subtle movements, careful signals, and unwavering confidence. One predator lunged toward the civilians again. Marcus stepped forward, arms outstretched, shouting calmly. The large predator behind him reacted instantly, stepping between the human and the threat, claws scraping the ground, a living shield. Marcus's heart pounded with awe and adrenaline. He had never seen anything like it, human courage and alien power working together. The smaller predators hesitated. Their coordination faltered. They had not accounted for the human's boldness combined with the unexpected ally of the larger predator. Marcus realized this was his chance. He signaled a rapid chain of flares toward the plaza exit, guiding both predators away from civilians while drawing their attention in a predictable path. Time slowed. He watched as the civilians began moving toward safety. Flames licked nearby structures, but the path remained clear. Marcus's mind calculated, adjusted, reacted. Every instinct, every decision, every ounce of courage mattered. Then the alien ship shifted again. Marcus could feel the impending threat, something massive inside, moving, waiting. But the predator's focus remained on him. Recognition or trust had grown into an unspoken bond. It wasn't tame, but it understood. Marcus was leading, guiding, surviving. The final moment came as one of the smaller predators broke through the decoys and charged directly at a family. Marcus acted instinctively. He fired a flare directly into the air, capturing its attention. At the same time, the larger predator slammed its massive claws into the ground, creating a shockwave that knocked the attacking predator off balance. It stumbled, disoriented. Civilians ran, guided by Marcus's team, toward the waiting evacuation units. Marcus breathed hard, adrenaline burning through him, but there was no time to relax. The city still burned, the alien ship still threatened, and more predators could appear at any second. But for now, the immediate danger had been contained. Humans had turned impossible odds into survival, not through superior firepower but through courage, ingenuity, and leadership. The plaza emptied. Civilians reached safety. Marcus stood in the open, chest heaving, gaze fixed on the massive predator that had followed him through the chaos. Its glowing eyes reflected a strange, almost reverent recognition. Marcus had faced the apex predator of an alien species, and had not only survived but used it to save others. He looked skyward, heart pounding. The alien ship began retreating as if acknowledging the human's triumph. The predators, now guided, followed the retreating ship's command, leaving Marcus and his team standing in the midst of destruction, alive, victorious, and forever changed. Marcus exhaled slowly. He had done more than survive. He had shown what humanity could do: stand fearless in the face of unimaginable odds, think faster than the deadliest intelligence, and act with courage when the world demanded it. The city smoldered around him, but a new legend had been born. A human had faced an alien apex predator, and it had hid behind him instead of attacking. Humanity had not just endured, it had led, inspired, and prevailed. But as Marcus looked at the predator, still massive and alert, he knew one truth clearly: this was not the end. The galaxy was watching, and Earth had shown its courage. The final test, the lasting consequences of human audacity, was yet to come. The sun rose over the shattered city, painting smoke and ash with streaks of gold. For the first time since the predators had arrived, silence settled across the streets. Civilians, exhausted and trembling, moved through the rubble toward emergency shelters and evacuation points. The screams and alarms that had filled the night were gone. What remained was awe, and a quiet, deep respect for the human who had led them through the impossible. Lieutenant Marcus Hale stood atop a collapsed building, the predator at his back. Its massive form loomed, yet it made no move to attack. It followed him obediently, not out of fear but in recognition. Marcus could feel its intelligence, its judgment, and even its respect. It was the first time he had seen an apex predator, an alien creation of unimaginable strength, react not with instinctive aggression, but with understanding. "Sir," Sergeant Lila Chen's voice crackled over the comm, "the civilians are safe. All accounted for. Evacuation is complete." Marcus exhaled, a tension he hadn't realized he'd been holding slipping from his shoulders. He looked over the horizon. Fire still burned in pockets, but the majority of the city had survived. And more than that, humanity had survived. Not because of machines, weapons, or sheer numbers, but because one human had faced fear, reasoned through danger, and acted with courage. He crouched slightly, resting a hand on the predator's armored leg. It moved closer, a silent acknowledgement of what had transpired. Marcus couldn't help but feel a surge of pride. Not selfish pride, but the kind that came from knowing the impossible had been achieved. Humans had stood against the apex predator of an alien species, and had prevailed. Evan approached, his face smeared with soot and sweat. "Sir, I still can't believe it. That thing, it actually followed you. You didn't just survive. You led it. You saved everyone." Marcus shook his head, voice steady but tinged with emotion. "We saved everyone. Not me alone. All of you, every Marine, every civilian who ran when they were scared, that's what made this possible. Humans don't survive because we're invincible. We survive because we make choices and we act when it matters most." The predator moved slightly, tilting its massive head toward him as if understanding his words. Marcus's heart thumped in disbelief and admiration. All the military training, all the tactics, all the bravery, they had converged in this moment. And even the alien creature seemed to sense that humanity had earned its place. In the distance, the alien ship shuddered and began to retreat. The hatches closed, lights dimmed, and the massive silhouette disappeared into the sky. The remaining predators followed without resistance, leaving Marcus and his team standing amidst destruction and triumph. News feeds and emergency broadcasts began to report the events of the night. Humanity had faced the apex predator. Humanity had not only survived, but it had proven something remarkable. In every home, every command center, every hospital, people were witnessing proof that courage, intelligence, and moral resolve could overcome even the deadliest threat. Marcus's mind raced as he considered the implications. The predator had chosen him, not randomly, not out of convenience, but because it recognized something uniquely human. It had responded to audacity, to reason, to courage under impossible pressure. If aliens, apex predators, and machines of war could recognize these traits, then perhaps the universe had already begun to notice Earth, not as prey but as a species to respect. He looked at his team. Every face was smeared with soot, bruises, exhaustion, but also awe. Lila's eyes met his and she nodded. No words were needed. Every Marine understood what had just happened. Humans had shown their true strength, their true ingenuity, and their indomitable spirit. Marcus allowed himself a moment of quiet reflection. He thought of the civilians he had guided, the younger Marines he had protected, and the predator that had, against all logic, placed its trust behind him. He realized that humanity's power was not in brute force or advanced technology, but in the ability to face fear with intelligence, courage, and morality. That was what made them exceptional. That was what made them human. As the sun climbed higher, Marcus began to organize recovery efforts. Civilians needed food, shelter, and medical aid. The city needed to be secured. But even as he directed operations, he knew something had changed forever. Humanity had proven to itself, and to the galaxy, that it could rise to challenges that seemed insurmountable. The predator stayed close, following Marcus as if it understood the importance of the work still ahead. It had not been tamed. It had not been defeated. It had been respected. And Marcus understood, more than ever, that respect, courage, and intelligence could shape outcomes even against forces beyond comprehension. By the evening, the immediate danger had passed. Survivors began to rebuild, guided by hope as much as necessity. The story of the human who had stood against the alien apex predator spread like wildfire, carried in whispers, shouts, and news broadcasts. Humanity had faced the unimaginable and they had risen, not as victims but as leaders. Marcus stood on a ridge overlooking the city. The predator rested a short distance away, massive and still alert. He felt a mix of exhaustion and triumph. Humanity had been tested, and the test had been passed. But more importantly, he knew that this night had proven something vital. Humans could confront the impossible and survive, not through strength alone, but through courage, intelligence, and moral resolve. He turned to his team and they understood without words. This was a victory beyond survival. It was a declaration. Humanity was capable of extraordinary things. They had faced the apex predator of another world, and the predator had hidden behind a human. And in that simple act, Marcus knew the galaxy would remember Earth. Humans had not only survived, they had led.